Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm looking at the 2025 New Jersey gubernatorial election and giving an updated look on where things stand as of today, as of the day I'm recording this video, which is August 2nd, 2025. Now this race is expected to take place on November 4th, 2025 to elect the next governor of the state of New Jersey. The two nominees are former U.S. Representative, or I guess Representative or Democrat Representative Mikie Sherrill, and Republican nominee and former governor nominee in 2021, Jack Ciattarelli. Now, this race is expected to be the probably closest of the two races that are up in 2025 for governor of Virginia and New Jersey. This race is the one that a lot of national Republicans and Democrats are watching as being potentially the closest of the two. New Jersey is a very interesting state because in the past it's been a very reliable Democratic state, but in 2024 it actually showed at the presidential level a little bit more competitiveness than it usually does. And at the governor level in 2021, Jack Ciattarelli actually came very close to defeating Democratic Governor Phil Murphy for a second term. He came very close to defeating him. Now, Phil Murphy is term limited and cannot seek a third consecutive term, and that's why we have an open race happening here. But just to give you an idea of how this happened, in 2024, New Jersey ended up voting for Democratic Vice President at the time, Kamala Harris, by roughly 5.9%. This would be a likely Democratic win on the margin scale of 5 to 15 being likely. So New Jersey was actually a similar margin to Virginia, which was 5.8%, and New Jersey actually voted more to the Republican side, barely, than the state of New Mexico, which was a 6-point win for Kamala Harris. Colorado, which used to be a swing state about 10 years ago, voted for Harris by 11 points. So New Jersey voted to the right of Colorado and New Mexico in this election, which is very, very interesting. Now, Republicans, it should be worth noting, back in 2020, lost the state of New Jersey by about 15.9%. So that was about a 10-point swing in just 4 years. So Republicans are feeling a lot of optimism in the state of New Jersey and are hoping to keep that going into 2025. Now, it should be worth noting, though, the governor's race in 2021 also gave us a potential peek at this, where in the 2021 governor cycles, usually these governor elections are more of a rebuke of the current president. So Joe Biden, the Democrat, was president, and he was not doing too well in the polls at the time. The Republican Glenn Youngkin was able to win an upset election in the state of Virginia. But Jack Ciattarelli came very close as well in New Jersey, where Phil Murphy, the incumbent, only won by 3.2%. Now, as we talk about 2025, that scenario is actually flipped, where usually it's the opposite of the president currently in power. So with Donald Trump being a Republican president, the Democrats should be more inclined to have a good night than the Republicans should in this scenario. We'll have to wait and see how that all goes, but that's where things currently stand on that front. As for the governor's race in New Jersey right now, the only polling that we have thus far shows a pretty competitive race where there's still a decent amount of undecided voters left. Just to give you an idea in a more pleasing way on the graphic side of things, the website racetothewhitehouse.com, which also tracks their own polling averages for these races, currently shows Mikie Sherrill having an average of 47.6% to Jack Ciattarelli's 39.9%. So you could say roughly about a 7.5 point lead, or an 8.5, about 7.5 point lead or so for Sherrill over Ciattarelli right now. That would coincide with being a likely Democratic lead. Now, there's only been about 5 polls included so far, including about 2 of them that are Republican polls and Survey USA, which is a Democratic poll. So it remains to be seen how this is all going to shake out, but thus far, Mikie Sherrill has enjoyed a lead of roughly a likely Democratic margin. The question is going to be, how do those undecided voters, which I mentioned, end up breaking come Election Day? Because in the most recent poll, which showed Sherrill at 45 and Ciattarelli at 37, 15% of respondents were undecided. In one of the Republican polls from KA Consulting, which is sponsored by the Change New Jersey, a pro-Jack Ciattarelli and anti-Mikie Sherrill super PAC, that showed the race at +5 for Sherrill. So if that's any indication that a pro-Ciattarelli poll has Sherrill still up by 5, that would show she's in a very strong position and likely going to win this race. But even still in that one, 11% of respondents were undecided. In the Signal poll, which is Republican affiliated as well, Sherrill leads over Ciattarelli 50 to 43, a 7-point margin with 7% undecided. Rutgers and Eagleton poll shows Sherrill over Ciattarelli with a very large lead, 51-31, with 18% of respondents being undecided. So the key so far is there are still a large amount of undecided votes remaining, but Mikie Sherrill certainly has a larger lead than Jack Ciattarelli does at this time. Her floor of support seems to be around 47 to 48% at the absolute lowest, where Jack Ciattarelli's highest poll so far shows him at about 43%. That was a Republican poll. The second poll with his highest floor of support was 42%, which was also a Republican poll. So the polling thus far isn't really giving us all too much, other than confirming the fact that Mikie Sherrill starts out with the higher floor of support over Jack Ciattarelli and likely has a lead in this race of somewhere around 5 to 7 points at this time. Now, the actual results in the state of New Jersey in 2021 ended up going like this, where Phil Murphy got 51.2% to Ciattarelli's 48%. And again, I can't stress this enough. This was in an election with Joe Biden as president. 2025 is going to be with Donald Trump as president. So does New Jersey continue to trend towards the Republican side and maybe give Jack Ciattarelli a chance at winning this race? Or do Democrats who are upset with the way President Trump is running the country, do they come out very energized to vote and come out in droves and vote for Mikie Sherrill and vote against Jack Ciattarelli in this race in droves as sort of a rebuke of the president? That's going to be something very important to watch for. Now, in this race, we saw a lot of very key areas here. We see some counties that are expected to go Democratic, like Hudson County, a very big Democratic win. Essex, which was a very big Democratic win, as expected. Union was also a big Democratic win, though Ciattarelli did cut into the margins a little bit. And Mercer County, where the city of Trenton is. These areas are all expected to be Democratic wins on election night in 2025, without too much of a doubt. But the margins of victory in these counties are very important. It was going to be roughly about a 31-point win for Murphy in Mercer County. At the presidential level in 2024, that county voted about 33.8% for Harris over Trump. So Ciattarelli running about 2 or 3 points better in Mercer is actually very important. Union was about a 24-point win for Harris over Trump, where in 2021, Union County was roughly about, 24 points or so, 24 points separating there. So pretty much on par, but these areas are important to watch the margins of. But there are also some very key suburban areas to watch for. In 2021, we saw Jack Ciattarelli win Gloucester County by about 10 points. Salem was a safe Republican win, Cumberland about a 12-point win. Atlantic about a 10-point win. We also see Cape May being a reliable red win. Camden goes blue. Burlington was about a 8-point win for Phil Murphy over Jack Ciattarelli. Ocean was a very big Republican win. Monmouth an 18-point win here. Let's compare these to 2024. Cumberland was a 3.7% win for Trump. Atlantic was a 3-point win for Trump. Gloucester was a 2.8% win for Trump. So Ciattarelli was able to run up the margins in these three counties a lot more than President Trump got in 2024. Ciattarelli was able to run these margins up more so in 2021. That'll be very important to watch for in the governor's race, how Ciattarelli is running in these areas. Burlington and Camden are also interesting. Camden, which as I mentioned was about a 21-point victory here or so. We see Camden being 27 points for Harris over Trump. Burlington is about 16 points as well. So Ciattarelli doing slightly better in these areas as well. But we also saw some very interesting numbers out of some key counties like Hunterdon, which Trump won by 6.5. Monmouth was an 11.3% win. We saw Ciattarelli make these numbers up more so by 18 points in Monmouth and Hunterdon being 18 points as well. Can Ciattarelli match the numbers in the red areas that he got in 2021 and expand in the blue areas? That's going to be his pathway to victory in 2025 if he's able to do that. Where Mikie Sherrill is essentially playing defense on the 2024 presidential map and trying to replicate things and hoping it doesn't creep into the 2021 governor map levels, is what Sherrill's campaign is likely watching. Now, some key areas as well. We have Middlesex County here. This county is expected to be a Democratic win, but Phil Murphy won it by about 12 points versus Jack Ciattarelli. In 2024, it was about an 8-point win for Harris versus Trump. So what's this county looking like come 2025? Is this 8-point win for Harris being replicated by Mikie Sherrill, or is Jack Ciattarelli also making some inroads from his prior election performance in 2021? If it's a 2021 map, coupled with a 4-point gain in Middlesex, that could be an indication that maybe Ciattarelli is making some gains in this election as well. Somerset, again, should be a pretty reliable Democratic win here. Voted 13.8% for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. whereas in 2021, Somerset was only about a 4-point win. So again, these margins that Ciattarelli put up in 2021 are going to be very important to watch for in 2025 at how he is actually running versus Sherrill. Now we move into the north part of New Jersey, and these are some key areas to watch for. Specifically, I'm looking at Morris County, Passaic County, and Bergen County. Now, these are three very important areas that actually were a little bit different than 2024, where in 2021, Jack Ciattarelli won Morris by 11 points. However, Phil Murphy won Passaic County by about 4 points and Bergen County by about 6 points. Now, in the 2024 presidential election, Donald Trump won Morris County by 2.7, but Trump also won Passaic by 2.9, and Bergen, Harris only won by 3.4. These are going to be very important areas to watch, because not only does Jack Ciattarelli need to match the margins he got in Morris County, where he won by 11 points, but if Jack Ciattarelli is going to be winning this governor's race, I think we're probably going to see Passaic going red, and I think there's a good chance we're going to see Bergen County either very narrowly going red or very, very barely going Democratic. So these are three key toss-up suburban counties I'm watching very closely here as a key indicator at how this election is going in 2025. If the map is the same as 2021, where Morris is red, but Passaic and Bergen are blue, we may be in for a close election, but the Democrats are probably going to win. If all three of these counties are going red, we have to have the conversation that Jack Ciattarelli may actually be pulling out a victory in this election. Those are going to be very close to watch. Now, that was 2021. I do also want to show you what 2017 looked like, which was the last time there was a governor election in New Jersey when there was a Republican president in President Trump's first term. Phil Murphy ended up winning against the Republican Kim Godano by about 13 points. Now, it should be stressed this was also after 4 years of Chris Christie being governor of New Jersey in his second term, where his approval ratings were catastrophically low. So even if we see a big win for Mikie Sherrill against Jack Ciattarelli in this governor's race, I don't think we're going to see 2017 numbers due to New Jersey moving more to the Republicans in the last 4 years or so, and coupled with Chris Christie's poor approval ratings. But in this one, you see a lot of red areas voting blue. You see Gloucester being blue, Cumberland being blue, Atlantic being blue. Then you also see Middlesex being really blue, Somerset being barely blue as well, but Morris still being red, Passaic being blue by a lot, Bergen being blue by a lot. I don't think we're going to see this in 2025, but if the Democrats were to have a very good blowout election type win, this is probably what it would look like, but I think we see a more competitive race in 2025. So now, looking at New Jersey, what's my current prediction for this race? Well, it's going to be very interesting to watch because it looks like Mikie Sherrill certainly has a lead in the race at this current point in time. However, there is still a lot of undecided vote out there, and New Jersey did make a very massive shift in 2024 towards Donald Trump and the Republicans. The question is going to be, do those Republican voters that voted for Donald Trump for the first time, probably voting for the first time for a Republican in a while, do they decide to come out and vote in the governor election? And if they do they stay with the Republicans in this race? Or do they, after what's going to be about 9 months, of President Trump being the president, do they decide to switch back and vote for the Democrats? That's going to be the big question here to watch in this race. Right now, in my past election prediction, I had New Jersey listed as lean Democratic, which is an under 5-point Democratic victory. At this point in time, I'm right around the edge there of New Jersey, where I think Mikie Sherrill is currently leading by about 5.5% come election day. So this would make New Jersey technically a likely Democratic win, where I have her winning by about 5.5 points. So I am putting it as likely Democratic, but I certainly think this race is going to be very important to watch for going into the final months of 2025 of this election cycle, especially in the month of October, as that's when things may seem to get really close in this race if there is a shift one way or the other in the race. Right now, I think certainly Mikie Sherrill has the advantage in this race. Jack Ciattarelli has some catching up to do in the early polling data, but this is still anyone's race. But Sherrill, I do think, has a slight advantage at this current point in time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a comment below telling me if you enjoyed this video and other video ideas you'd like to see me talk about going forward. Also, make sure to hit like and subscribe if you really enjoyed this video so you keep coming back when I post more videos like this one going forward. That'll do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.